Semi-truck versus buses. How different are they? Have you ever wondered what the differences are on a truck compared to a bus when looking at factors like appearance, engine, safety, and rules? They might be more similar than you think, but let's take a look. Manufacturers. As you will find out, trucks and buses share many components, and the manufacturers therefore mostly produce both trucks and buses under the same brand. This includes Volvo Group, Daimler, Tata Motors, and Scania, who all both produce trucks and buses with shared components. Other major bus manufacturers are Neoplan, which is owned by MAN, the Chinese brand Yutong, Foton, and Japanese Isuzu, as well as many other brands. The manufacturers of trucks are therefore not that different from the bus manufacturers, as almost all of them also produce trucks or other commercial vehicles. Appearance and use. A truck is a vehicle primarily designed for the transportation of goods, while a bus is a vehicle primarily designed for the transportation of people. Trucks and buses are different types of vehicles designed for different purposes and have different characteristics. Trucks can be configured with 2, 3, 4, and even 5 axles, with different configuration, wheelbases, and so on, completely specified according to the customer's requirements and needs. Here, most buses have between 2 and 3 axles, but some of the bigger double-deckers are with 4 axles, usually specified according to the required number of passengers needed. There are also several different types of buses, each designed for a specific purpose, such as city buses, school buses, tour buses, shuttle buses, coach buses, double-decker buses, and electric buses, but more on that later. The number of seats can vary depending on the type, but can range from anywhere between 15 to over 120 seats, where trucks only have 2 seats, or in some cases 3. So, since these two vehicles are used for such different purposes, they also look and are used in very different ways. But what about their engines? How different are they? Let's take a look at it. Engine. The engines used in buses use the same technology and types of engines as in trucks, and many brands even use the same engine in some truck models as in their bus models. However, the engines in buses are placed in the back of the bus, and not in the front as on trucks. There are, of course, the iconic school buses in America, where the engine is also in the front, but most buses have the engine in the back, which can be accessed through the back or from the inside of the bus. Most of the buses are with an engine range of 250 to 500 horsepower, with engine sizes from 7 liters to 13 liters. The maximum of horsepower is around 500 horsepower, even on the biggest bus models, as this is more than enough to carry the weight of the bus in all types of terrain, filled with passengers. It's a bit different on trucks, where you can choose engines up to 770 horsepower, as these can be used to transport much greater weight of up to over 250 tons. However, most semi-trucks have around 400 to 500 horsepower as well, since this is enough for most, and is a more fuel-efficient engine. When it comes to type of fuel, there are typically more options on the buses, as they can be chosen by many of the brands as diesel, HVO, biodiesel, electric, or even hybrids. An estimated 97% of all heavy-duty trucks are diesel-powered, where only around 79% of buses are diesel-powered, and the rest is electric, with CNG or other alternative fuels. More and more electric bus solutions have been developed, and a high number of city buses are switching to pure electricity to minimize CO2 pollution in the cities. Especially buses that run fixed routes around the city can benefit from an electric solution, as they can then charge at the stops where passengers have to get on anyway. There are also electric solutions on trucks, but they are not that widespread, as it is only a very small segment of the trucks where the driving fits in with the limitations of electric solutions. Equipment and safety. The safety and equipment level is incredibly high on both trucks and buses. They can both be chosen with everything from attention guard, emergency brake, collision warning, lane guard, lane assist, to adaptive cruise control, and much more, all of which help drivers prevent accidents and to increase comfort. But equipment such as air conditioning, digital display, mirror cams, navigation, multifunction steering wheel, and so on is also possible in both trucks and buses. Where there is a slight difference is that trucks are equipped for 1 or 2 passengers to spend the night in the bunk, where in buses there can be a separate room where the driver can rest. The buses have a much larger cabin, so there is room for a kitchen, toilet, seats, tables, VIP lounge, TV, and much more, depending on the type of bus. Trucks can also get many of the same options, but just on a smaller scale, as there is a little more limited space. Rules. The rules for weight on both trucks and buses can vary greatly from country to country and from state to state. The weights change depending on whether the bus or truck has 2, 3, or 4 axles, and in the case of the truck, how many axles the trailer has. Most buses are at a permitted total weight of around 18,000 kilograms to 26,000 kilograms, and the trucks at 40,000 to 44,000 kilograms. However, countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and many more all have different rules for the truck's weights and length limits, where they allow them a total weight of up to over 100,000 kilograms. Also, when it comes to speed, the rules can vary quite a bit. In most of Europe, the maximum speed of a truck is 80 kilometers an hour, where buses are allowed to drive 100 kilometers an hour. In America, buses are allowed to drive at 105 kilometers an hour, while trucks, depending on the type of road it's driving on and how many axles the vehicle is driving with, are allowed to drive between 88 kilometers an hour and 112 kilometers an hour. Driver rules. The driving license required to drive both a bus and a truck depends on the country and the type of bus or truck being driven. In most countries, a commercial driver's license, CDL, is required to operate a bus or truck that is used for the public transportation or for commercial purposes. The requirements for obtaining a CDL vary by country, but typically include passing a written and practical test, as well as meeting age and medical requirements. It is also important to note that different countries have different classifications for buses, and the required license may depend on the size and weight of the bus. So what we can conclude is that despite the two types of vehicles looking very different, they share many components and can be chosen with many of the same features. Of course, there are also some really big differences, but we were actually surprised by how similar a truck and a bus are, and that the manufacturers of these also almost always produce both trucks and buses. Was there anything that surprised you? Share it with us down in the comment field. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for much more.